Here we go. We are live. It is the At the Buzzer podcast, episode 3. If you can't tell by the title, NBA Superstars and Broken Promises, the Unveiling of Hypocrisy. We have some big news going on today. My co-host, as always, G, how you doing today, brother?
Been doing better, but another day grateful to be alive. So got that.
Yeah, and as a Raptor fan, after hearing for a week, and keep in mind, I tried to temper your expectations last week, G,
Yeah,
that
I'm
it,
I'm no
it,
longer
it
ever
might
fan.
not happen. But as a Raptor fan, how you feeling about the news today?
Deflated. Honestly, I thought that combination there was a possibility of Giannis and Dame going to Toronto because you have an entire country to build around, marketing wise, global wise. Like I really saw it as a potential sell, and both of them being disgruntled and looking for a championship organization. So there was a fantasy in
Yeah,
my mind that started to become like this tangible reality. And then, yeah, you get carried away with your little thoughts and dreams, and reality sits in. And so, as a Raptors fan, devastated, not sure where we sit. Same team, same path. This would have been a big shakeup, but it would have been a bit of a lottery win to for them to get that. So, uh, yeah, I'll have probably more reflections later as a Raptors fan, but um, right now, just kind of processing. What was your first reaction?
my first reaction was wow because it wasn't even on the radar, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Milwaukee was not a team that was on the radar.
Nope.
Like we had heard New York, we had heard Miami, we had heard Toronto, we heard all these different, we heard Chicago, we heard so many different places. And at
Mm-hmm.
the end of the day, it's a dark horse that nobody saw coming in the Milwaukee Bucks that gets the job done.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the shocker to me was just wow, because he spent all this time talking about going to Miami and he winds up in Milwaukee, which is not Miami.
Yeah, and it's really interesting that it's a superstar that kind of followed the Dame path. Like they were almost parallel journeys in small markets, being gigantic superstars. And if Dame couldn't win in one, it's almost interesting that he's gone to another small market, but maybe one of the best chance small markets, if not the best, other than Denver, uh, who stacks up really interestingly with this duo.
Well, as you can see, I had a thumbnail made for a completely different topic yesterday, and it was
Inch.
almost as if the basketball gods told us, "No, hold off for another day."
Yeah.
And look what happens. The thumbnail is ruined. I guess it ties in on some level, but as
Yeah.
you can see, I was geared up for a completely different topic today. But this is big news. Let's talk about DeAndre Ayton going to Portland. How does this shape his career and the Portland Trailblazers franchise?
That is a huge, interesting question, actually. I'd be very curious to see where that goes because I feel like his potential has been limited by the conditions of being unhappy in a situation that who knows what it was, but something never really got mended, it seemed there. And he was always working at a bit of a disgruntled capacity, it seems. So I'm curious if he's got more in the tank and has some other gears he can go with a new squad. But huge for Phoenix to get rid of him in that sense and get some legit pieces back.
And if I'm not mistaken, Portland got two unprotected first round picks in this deal as well.
Okay, yeah, I didn't read into the picks part. I saw Drew Holiday and I kind of got fixated on that piece as a really interesting piece. And he'll be going to, is that Phoenix?
I think so. And
Interesting.
Phoenix also gets Yusef Nurkic. Am I saying that right?
Yeah. That's maybe the most interesting part of this whole thing. Because when I was imagining the scenario of him coming to the Raptors and Dame doing the thing there was still the question of, hey, if you send OG and you're sending Scotty Barnes out, you don't have any defense. but we kind of laughed thinking, oh, Phoenix doesn't have defense, so they're not really going to be a true contender. But they just changed that in a huge way and got rid of their sort of weakest link in terms of chemistry. So I think Phoenix just became the favorite in some people's minds, but certainly got better than they were yesterday. I don't know how you feel about
And
it.
that leads me to the next interesting question.
Mm.
Of the three teams involved in this deal, being Portland, Phoenix, and Milwaukee, uh, well, I guess two questions. Who benefited the most, and who's going to be the most fun to watch this upcoming season?
Ooh. Now, we should probably say short term or long term benefited the most, because I think there'd be different answers there, for me at least. So maybe I'll give you both quick and then throw it to you. So I think Phoenix's short term best outcome for they just got really scary by having an on ball wing defender with Drew Holiday, having a solid center that replaced the one that was just not working with your team.
Yeah,
Really,
this has
really
nothing to speak of the talent of DeAndre Ayton. Let's make that clear.
No, this is fit, pure fit. Sometimes, like Mikal Bridges, great player, wasn't speaking ill of the organization or him, but when he was given a bigger opportunity, he just went leveled up, met the challenge, and now he's an A-plus player. And I could see Aiden doing the same. I could see, but he wasn't exactly their favorite in Phoenix.
No, he was not.
Yeah.
Oh man, this is something.
And closed a hole. You know.
Now, I had said that if Dame went to Philly, him and Joel Embiid would be instant championship contenders. I had no anticipation whatsoever of him going to Milwaukee with Giannis and
Yeah.
Middleton.
Truly. There's something scary about it, right? Just that little combination there. But he looked past it just a bit, and I've got some questions right off the bat. Is how good's
You
that
do.
team defensively?
And Rolla is speaking for the rest of Heat Nation right now in the comment section with the heartbreaking emoji.
I bet they
Much
got
like
it.
you shared with the Raptors fans. I think there's a lot of disappointed people, but they might be dancing in the streets in Milwaukee at the moment.
Yeah, they were just given life. They were seeing a horrible future ahead, like Giannis possibly leaving, and just another 50 years of irrelevancy. And now Dame's coming to town.
It's like the Cleveland Browns of the NFL, 50 years of irrelevancy.
Yeah, and we're seeing some teams in that now, right? Like there's Minnesota has kind of been petering at that for a while, and just the only Garnett years. But yeah, Detroit and boy, they just got a breath of fresh air. Milwaukee's probably on fire right now. What an interesting turn of events!
Does this make the Bucks the favorites in the Eastern Conference?
Instincts say yes right off the bat. Yeah, that's intimidation factor alone. Like everybody has a certain level of respect and fear for those two guys. And there's a star power behind them that like the lights will be bright every single time they play. All eyes will be on that team.
Oh, you're getting everybody's best shot every night, dude.
Yeah.
Every night you're getting everybody's best shot.
Yeah, I think so. There's so much attention that's going to be on them. But that's a double-edged sword too, because they're going to get a bit of that expectations. Easily expected to probably be the favorite in the East now. But they are an older team. They don't have as much speed as they once did. They just sent away their best three-point shooter and best defender, who, many argue those are the two factors that if you have elite pieces that have committed to those roles, that's the championship formula. They just lost that insignificant piece. The superstar is not the tried and true formula of success. We're like, that is all the data says no, just adding superstars does not equal championships. It's actually the opposite. So I think it's exciting from a entertainment thing, but let's see. Let's see.
Yeah, that's the interesting question. Is it star power or is it the glue guys, right? Like when the Lakers won their bubble championship, which even I kind of go, oh yeah, it's the bubble championship. But they got rid of Caldwell Pope, and it was like we lost our defender
And Caruso,
and Caruso, or
right?
as we affectionately call him, the Elmer Fudd of basketball.
Yeah, yeah. Honestly, there's something to be said for synergy of a well balanced team and people actually committing to the roles, because I think that's got to be the hardest piece. If you're an owner or a coach, how do you get millionaires to care about, quote unquote, winning if they're still getting paid that amount and they don't have to try as hard if they're on a team that isn't, quote unquote, appreciating them enough to get them to buy into their role where they're only getting 5 shots, maybe, and they're not good shots, and they could be putting in 20 a night. Norm Powell, I'm thinking, he's a guy that's bought into the role time and time again, but there's got to be a point where he's just like, man, it sucks being the fourth option.
Even Dwight Powell in Dallas,
Yeah, yeah.
who's a constant workhorse and just keeps going. At
So
what point do you say I want to get mine? Like
everybody's human, and they're all guys that are competitors at high levels. So nobody came to the NBA to just pass, or just rebound. And I could
unless
see
you're
that
Dennis
being a
Rodman,
challenge.
obviously.
Yeah, there's some guys that buy in, but those are the hard pieces to get. And Milwaukee just sent them across the country. Yeah, not easy to replace. Like, I can't think of any other team other than Denver that has a balanced, bought into their roles team as much as them.
So, how big of a seismic shift do you think this Dame Dollar trade? How big of a seismic shift is this for the NBA with this Dame Dollar trade to Milwaukee?
It's one of the most beautiful fugazis I've ever seen. It's like it's going to be the funnest, most entertaining, I think, non-real dial moving, event of the year, because they're kind of
Oh,
already
wait.
expected to be good, and I think they're going to be really good.
I
But I
want to go
don't
back
see,
to what you just said. You said non-real dial moving
yeah,
move of the season.
that's my take right now. I'm gonna put it out there. It's my instincts. I'll throw it out, but I think they were already favorited to be 1 or 2, right? So
Yeah, pretty close.
so you send away those things that I think are your more valuable key pieces, and you put in a guy that is, transcendent dynamo, but you got to have 5 players on the floor all wanting the same thing, and also have a bench willing to come in and do the dirty work, and it'll be interesting.
Do you think that Dame will fit better in Milwaukee than Kyrie does in Dallas?
Unquestionably, yeah. I think they'll be the strongest duo in the NBA, for what that's worth. Can you think of a stronger duo?
Right now, not really.
Mhm.
I mean, there always seems to be one superstar that kind of drags people along,
Hmm. But also
and the
has
days
young
of the
guys.
and the days of the super team, if they're not over already, they're coming to an end now.
Mm,
Like
I think so.
they're less and less prevalent now as they were, say, in the 2010s.
Hmm.
The era of the super team is pretty much done.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And I think there's something to be said for youth, and Milwaukee
Yeah,
does not have it whatsoever, right? Like, there's guys that in the league that can run circles around them And if they're going up and down 82 games and have to win 60 some to be in that first slot, you have to work pretty hard as an older team because there's going to be whippersnappers that move way fast.
Here, here, here's my next question though. Do the Bucks want the number one or number two seed? Are they comfortable being in a 3 or 4 seed with the addition of Dame Dollar and kind of pacing themselves through the regular
Mm,
season so they're fresher for the playoffs?
yeah, I think that might be their only option, honestly, if they want to give themselves best bet with the amount of injuries in the NBA nowadays, right? I think it's due to the game speeding up. I don't know what other people think, but
Hmm.
yeah, I
I
think
just look at it from when you have an experienced roster like this, do are division titles and conference titles really the most important thing? Or are you just trying to navigate your way through the season?
your instincts 100% right on that one. And like you'd be in the coaches circle there, and I'm sure they're already scheming at the schedule, looking at exactly that because you have to be realistic, right? And I think they'd be fine with it, wouldn't you? Coming into the Eastern Conference.
I think so. And but here's the problem with scheming now is the new NBA sitting rules have changed for players.
Mhm.
So how does that factor into Milwaukee's strategy? There's so many things going on right now.
Yeah, yeah, and it really does put the pressure on the NBA to uphold their rule or not, right? Because are they going to play
Mhm.
favorites now because they got the golden goose? Yeah, then you're going to get it across the board again. You can't pick faves, so it'd be so interesting to see how Milwaukee navigates it because both those guys will play 82 if they could. I think they're
Oh
kind
no,
of
both of those guys, they're workhorse players. That's
yeah.
why I think that's why I think Milwaukee won this deal.
Okay.
Because not only did they get the best player, but those are two guys that I firmly believe are going to not only play the majority of the games, and it might not affect them as much as other teams the sitting rule,
Mm,
but they're going to be impact players. And
yeah.
I think that's going to be what the thing that propels Milwaukee. But I think they're going to sit back and go, you know what? We don't have to do this every night. We can come in as the 4 or 5 seed and still compete with anybody in the league.
Mm,
And that's why I'd be hesitant to pick them as a division winner or a conference winner for that matter.
yeah. Yeah, that's a really good point. Strategically, they could even play them, but in small doses, right? On games where it seems unsafe, but they don't want to rest them and get fined. They play whatever the minimum amount is, but they take it fairly restricted
Yeah,
during
but
that
that's
time.
not really their style. Like
That's
those
it. That's it. Yeah, true. I
like
could.
when those guys are on the court, they only know one speed and that's all out, dude.
Mhm. And they've got the strongest leadership now out of anything in the NBA. So, in terms of role players, you might see guys that we've never heard of suddenly buying in and making huge defensive noise and assist kings and stuff because it's about buy-in for some of these guys because they're all so talented. And who wouldn't
Well,
want to play for them?
that's the thing. Like I think Austin Reeves on any other team isn't as effective. But because he's bought into the Lakers, it's one of those things where he just fits there.
Hmm.
And I think you're right. There's gonna come a situation in Milwaukee because we're talking about this trade during this episode. And there might even be a bonus pod for you guys later. Is we deemed it a part 2, but it'll probably be episode 4 later this week. Because this trade is gonna dominate this podcast for sure. I think they need to find the pieces that fit in Milwaukee, like in Austin Reeves, like Austin Rivers used to do for the Clippers,
Mm.
or Lemon Pepper Lou, as they call him nowadays, Lou Williams, which I saw the laugh come across your face, but it's the truth, man. They need those guys off the bench to contribute, and as much fun as it is to pick on Lemon Pepper Lou for what he did, because it is,
It's the best.
he
Yeah.
shouldn't have done it. Number one, He shouldn't have done it, but
But
uh oh, I saved a quote from Facebook. Are you ready for this one?
I'm ready for it.
Because I know this is going to be a shorter pod, I saved a quote from Facebook.
Mm.
Let me just see if I can find it in my photo album here.
Mm.
But it said something to the effect of um not all the fans are going to be addressed, but the ones in Portland I'll address because that's the city I love or something. Actually, I just pulled it up here. It
Mm.
says, and this is a direct quote, the casuals won't be addressed, but the Trailblazers fans in the city of Portland that I love will be, and they will be addressed truthfully. Stay tuned. Excited for my next chapter at Bucks from Dame Lillard's own Twitter account.
Respect.
I'm gonna let you go first because I got a problem with this.
Mm. Okay,
So
I
I'm gonna
think
let you go first.
yeah, it's a pretty like the right thing to say, the classic stamp it, communications 101, what you're supposed to say, the Kyle Lowry take an ad out, and I'm sure there's a sentiment that's totally legit, but hey, he doesn't really care. He's got hundreds of $1 million coming his way, and he gets to play with Giannis Antetokounmpo. It's like, yeah, he's winning. He's winning for sure, and he's gonna have a lot of fun. The fact that he's gonna address Portland fans, I guess it's his right. I don't know how I'd feel as a Portland fan. I'd say, thanks. We already did our goodbye, you know. But yeah, hit it.
Everything Dame's done over the last 6 months has been disgraceful.
Mm, okay, this is getting
That is my.
spicy.
I'm gonna. So if you tell your friends to watch this podcast, tell them to watch this portion in particular.
Mm.
Dame, you are disgraceful. You are disrespectful. You are disingenuous. And I went from your biggest supporter to the one you've disappointed the most. Because not only are you leaving Portland now, you are rubbing salt in the wound of every Trailblazer fan that has supported you over the last decade, and I don't want to stand for it.
Okay.
Because by saying they will be addressed and they will be addressed truthfully, why would you put it on Twitter first? And not only that, you tell them you love them, but you're leaving the house that you built. So
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I have strong feelings on this. Damn, I was the guy backing you,
Mm,
and you just left the city high and dry, and you just insulted their intelligence by putting that out on Twitter.
mm.
And somebody's gonna clip this, and it might go viral, but that's not what this is about.
Mm.
This is me telling Dame, you've let everybody down, and now you've just spit on our face.
Yeah, these are not
That's my
light
take.
words. Okay. I mean, I'm gonna sit on it because I don't want to take that take lightly. Um, I'm curious. What's your alternate path for him? Would it have been to attract Giannis to Portland type of thing? Like ideally get that superstar there and finish what you
If
started?
possible, I'm not even sure that's possible.
Mm,
And you know what? I would have been like, Dame, you want to go? Go. But you know what you did? You turned it into a circus. And it
yeah.
didn't need to be that way.
Yeah, he didn't
And
need to demand Miami and make that whole scene and like after a lifetime of always being the guy that held high sort of ethical standards and a behavior that was just very admirable to then demand Miami because of the weather's nice is like, oh man, you're already a billionaire. Chill.
here's the thing. Rolla just dropped a comment and he said he released a song called Farewell earlier. I don't know if that is officially addressing the Trailblazer fans, but I gotta tell you, Rolla, thanks for that because that just makes this even more ridiculous.
Yeah, yeah. Somebody
I,
should write a response rap and get something going because he
I,
just disgraced Drake. Drake could have been, producing some of his stuff on the side. He could have had a whole future.
I just, I,
Not anymore.
in case you haven't figured it out, I'm taking this one personally.
As he should, as he should have. Hey,
Because
if you're going to be a fan of him that long, yeah, you've got a right to feel things on it. It's
I'm taking this one personally, and not because he left. Everybody has the right to leave.
mm,
I don't appreciate the circus of it all.
yeah,
Just say, hey, look, I love my time in Portland. I'm I'm out. Sorry, like that's just how it goes. But
yeah,
no, he's got to go and be like, I'm only going to Miami. Stretch this thing out for months and months and months on end,
mhm,
and he winds up in of all places Milwaukee, and Miami's not even involved in the deal.
yeah. And
So
there's a
you didn't even you, so you didn't even stick to your word.
mm,
You literally buried the city of Portland and everything you stood on for a decade. And now you're excited to be a Milwaukee Buck when they weren't even in the picture months ago.
and there's a
I'm
reason they
sorry, G.
weren't. There's a
I,
reason, right?
I'm sorry, G. I know I don't usually go on rants like this,
No, I think you
but
should.
this one hit me hard, bro.
Yeah.
This one hit me hard.
And this
Cause
is
it's
what
not the fact that he left; it's
mm,
the circus that came with it. And
yeah.
to put out there that I will address the Portland fans that I love, damn, you just kicked them. You just kicked them while they're down.
Hmm. Yeah.
Uh,
And yeah, he probably doesn't even see that, right? Just so disconnected in some levels because yeah, you're on such an unusual status of human being that yeah, he's got to be disconnected because it does sound disingenuous. It does seem like he just wanted what was best for himself and was going to do whatever it took to achieve that. And there's a reason I think Milwaukee wasn't involved in any of the trade discussions and stuff. It's because I don't think it really makes sense. Like, so he's doing the thing that a lot of people are saying is the lame way for NBA to go, which is just random superstars teaming up, taking hold of organizations hostage, and trying to stay healthy throughout an 82 game season while playing, the entire game. He's sort of repeating the worst parts of where the NBA is headed, and that is lame to see in my sphere, just the
you know,
pattern.
a lot of people tell me I don't love the NBA as much as I used to because I don't get to watch as many games as I used to. Go play them that clip that I just did on Dame Lillard and tell me I don't love the NBA.
Yeah. And when Dame, was going, do you think he could claim that, that if he won a championship, would that have been a true testament to his unwavering attitude and effort? Or would it be more he joined a team that had already won a championship, had all their same pieces, and he did the KD?
Well, see, here's
Like literally just did the same thing after he just said, he wouldn't have done that. So the
you
word
know what
hypocrisy
that
above
does.
your head there.
That's why I titled it the way I did. I didn't know this trade was going down. As you know, we usually film on Tuesday nights for
Hmm.
those who are new to the podcast. And we don't usually go live, but I thought this was important.
Mm.
And I probably shouldn't be this upset about it because I'm a Laker fan. But
Yeah,
when
you
you
got Denver to worry
stand for
about.
something, when you
Mm.
stand for something so long, and you're like, I'm not worried about my legacy. Champion. He even said at one point, championships don't define legacies, if I
Mm.
remember correctly.
Hmm.
He said that
Hmm.
when he was in Portland,
It's one of those
and
things people say when.
it's just, uh, and I think I take it personally because I defended him. Because I was the guy that was like, leave him alone, let him do his thing. And then he just kind of, well, I'm gonna go get my ring now. See you later. Like, thanks for nothing.
Yeah, and it's a huge gamble on, like we said, the formula that has proven to be pretty shaky. And he thinks he's the exception with Giannis because they're so special. It's like, yeah, you might be an exception, but it's also going to require a perfect circumstances, nobody getting injured, nobody, it's going to require walking that tightrope. So I don't think his chances are as good as maybe he thinks. And that's what I meant about the Fugazi thing at the start. It's like this huge, like, whoa. And I don't know. And it's got a whole undercurrent of negativity too to it that your sentiment is probably shared across a lot of his fans and Portland fans. So
Like,
it's a mixed day.
like if he gets his ring, then he'll feel vindicated. But what about all those people that stood with you?
Yeah.
When everybody was telling you Dame go and then you said no, I'm Portland and we stood by you and you give us this? I'm sorry. This is not good conduct for a podcast.
I think it's
But this
great
is just
content. You're telling how it is, from where you're sitting. You got to tell it straight, and you're telling it very straight where it's coming from. And anybody that's trying to skirt around it and play some both sides thing, it's like you're just not having a take. And I think having a take on it is the key to having interesting things to
one
say.
thing about it though is I try to use facts in my take,
Mm-hmm.
and this is raw emotion that's coming out right now.
Okay. Well, you are human. We like to mix those.
Because you heard me say I keep receipts, man.
Yeah, and
And
hey, you got them.
I just damn, I thought so highly of you. I stood with you. And the way this all unfolded, man, it doesn't look good for you.
Mm-hmm.
And as you can tell, if Dame's gonna walk on me, then I'm gonna walk on him.
Mm-hmm. That's fair. As a long-term fan, I think that that's worth it, and you'll have fun cheering against him because he can be a villain now, and it's always fun to have a villain, especially when they're a high
Villains
contender.
make sports, right?
They do, and
That's
he
what
just
you've said
accepted the
before.
role. Yeah. Yeah, that's right, right. So he took the one ring, right? We're like, no, Frodo, don't put it on, and he's like, yeah, and he's on it now. So
He
he's,
couldn't resist.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
But I'm just saying, man. Like, I've watched this league for 30 years since it's been on NBC. For those of you young bucks who don't remember, it was on NBC, and it
mm-hmm.
was before Dame even got to the league. And he was, I think that's what it is too. Is I still believe in loyalty, and Dame was the last loyal soldier left,
There's one more, and he just won a championship,
and he just won a championship. That's a
right?
good point.
I don't see Nicola saying a word about anything other than where's my horses, and when does the season start? The dude
When
seems
does the
locked in.
season start?
Yeah, like there's a loyal dude because he's loyal to the agreement and the mission. And so if that means Denver, then it seems like he's locked in. There's never been
Yeah,
a word that he's said anywhere, right? Uh he's the last
I'm
maybe.
just so I'm just so hurt and disappointed in the way this all came down.
Hey man, Jamal Murray, you got this up and comer that is gonna be maybe as strong as Dame, and he seems like a loyal dude. He was taken care of by Denver when he was in his lowest moments. People don't forget that, you know. He's going to be
I
as
would hope
loyal as
not.
Jokic. Yeah, he seems too high character to have forgotten about those
They could
things.
win titles for years, brother.
And
Coming
they
out
did
of
it the
there.
right way, and they're going to keep doing it the right way with those two guys already there, right? They built it together rather than inject Dame here. It's a perfect villain. It's a perfect counter to the organic Denver Nuggets, really interesting squad.
Well, I will say this. I know Milwaukee's going to win their fair share of 40 or 50 games.
Mm.
But whether it's Orlando, whether it's Minnesota, I'm rooting against Milwaukee all season long. That's as far as that's about as much as I got left to say.
Yeah, you're gonna have to choose a dark side somewhere. We got the Raptors come to our side here. You got the Celtics. You can spend some time with the Celtics in no man's land
Well,
there.
I bleed purple and gold, so maybe I'll root for the Bucks against the Celtics. But other than that,
Yeah,
that might be
that's
the
fair.
only issue.
Hey, that's fair. And I bet the Celtics are wondering, yeah, it would have been nice to have Marcus Smart being able to defend uh, point guard of that caliber come Eastern Conference regular and playoff season. Like, who do they have at the point right now?
Is
Brogdon?
it Avery? Huh?
Brogdon is supposed to be, but he's kind of old and injured too. So
Yeah,
interesting
I
for
don't
Boston.
know.
Interesting problems at Boston, I think. So we'll just go back to the East real quick. Do you think there's enough in the East to give them serious problems throughout the regular season and post? Because it's a mess
Yes,
right now a little bit, but go on.
yes. I think Philly can give him a run with Joel Embiid because when he gets mad is when he plays the best. I wish Joel Joel
Mm-hmm.
Joel makes me mad for a different reason than Dame does. Because Joel is so gifted, but he only plays when he wants to.
And that's when the emotion is like, yeah, he's riding some
And,
vengeance thing. Like he's got an MJ attitude, but only sometimes, right?
and see, usually I'm more reserved in the way I spill out my takes, but today is gonna be the emotional day that you catch me with my takes.
It's because it's popping
So
live.
Joel makes me mad because I expect so much more from him because he's capable of so much more.
Yeah, that's legit.
And if James Harden if James Harden has a bounce back year, they can give Milwaukee fits.
Man, do you think he has it in him to eat crow?
No,
You
but I
know,
think he's got it in him to give us one more good year.
for Daryl Morey?
Oh, that's right. James might not go back. James won't go back to Philly.
He put it on the biggest platform he could. I will never, I repeat,
You never
never.
say never. You never say never.
Because, yeah, he's going to
I've
have to
learned
deal with
that
that. But he's shameless, so
from
it doesn't really matter for him, I guess, either way.
from Kyrie Irving to Dame Lillard to Giannis Antetokounmpo. They've all said I'm never leaving, and two of those three have left. And if
Mm,
things get bad in Milwaukee, I guarantee you Giannis will leave too.
yeah. Yeah, because they just stacked all their chips on 1 year without any youth whatsoever to build around, like in terms of that next coming up, fill in the bench. When you think of Denver, Michael Porter Jr.'s super young. They have a couple guards that were super young. It was like, yeah, you can see the combination working really well. What does Milwaukee got right now?
This would be like if you left to do the Joe Rogan podcast.
I'm going near Spotify, man.
I ain't going near Spotify. So
Yeah, that's
I'm sorry. I shouldn't have gotten all fired up like that, but it just came out.
it's huge news. It's massive. It's like somebody's going to be, yeah, redefining their legacy as something completely different from hero to villain, and the last guy you would have ever thought. I mean, he'll be a hero for some still, but it'd be great for the kids and
Uh,
this and that. But for the diehards, they're going to be like, yeah, we know what you
Joe
did.
Rogan podcast by night, says Rolla. So he's encouraging you to double dip there on the podcast.
By day, by night.
No, because then he'd have to give Joe Rogan golf energy, and we can't have that. We can't,
Oh,
he doesn't bring the golf energy.
Yeah, we got to figure out who's going to be the antithesis to the golf energy because man, WWE energy, Embiid has that. He's got the like, all right, I'll put on a show and win because he's got something in him to do that. Almost seems like he's unstoppable to the point where it's pre-written when he wants to be. So I hear you on Philly, but they seem like a mess overall with too much potential and talent just in a vortex of not being in a healthy
Well,
environment.
well, there are other teams. I think the Bulls, if they can stay healthy, that's the key thing, though. Can the Bulls stay healthy?
Yeah. And is DeRozan still the same DeRozan? Do they have enough anywhere? Um, Boston again, it seems like a oddly shaped
Great,
team.
great regular season team. I said that before. Can
Hmm.
Miami repeat what they've done now that they've?
Hmm.
Because they can't sneak up on anybody now. That's the thing. They can't sneak up on anybody. I think that was their biggest surprise last year is they were able to sneak up on people.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think about Cleveland?
Cleveland without LeBron, I root for Cleveland for good things,
Hmm.
as long as they're not playing the Lakers or the Raptors.
Okay. So do you think they would have I see space in the East for a team like the Cavs or Pacers or
I think the
a
Knicks are
dark
going to
horse.
be different. I think the Knicks are going to be all right,
Yeah,
but we'll
there's a
have to
team.
see how
Yeah.
this goes.
Yeah, they got energy.
They
That'd be
got
interesting.
energy, and it ain't golf energy.
Yeah, no, exactly. Exactly. They got New York energy, and that is Spike Lee on his fancy glasses on a Saturday night energy. That's gonna go off.
Remember when they threw Spike Lee out of the Madison Square Garden?
How do you do
How
something
bad
like
did the Knicks look on that one?
and Charles Oakley, right? That's long-standing feud there, and Stephen A. He's no uh, long-term
Oh man.
welcome there, but yeah, Knicks are really interesting by having that team of bought-in guys running a system, developing in the system, but they lost Obi Toppin, who was this freak athlete that was able to put in those alley oops all over the place. He was so fun to watch. I think he's in. I don't know who he got. Indiana. I think Indiana.
I
Look
think
out!
so.
Look out for Indiana. it's. I see them building a Denver thing.
And if
Mhm.
you're looking for the replay of this podcast when it's all said and done, it's in the At the Buzzer podcast folder, not the live stream folder. So
Mm.
just be aware of that. Because I'm keeping all the At the Buzzer episodes together in a playlist.
Awesome, awesome.
I
You
know I know you have to go soon here, G. So
Yeah,
I'm gonna ask you
yeah.
this. I'm gonna ask you this while we're still on there. Are we gonna do a double podcast week this week? It being Wednesday already, that'll be a little tight though. Or we're
I
just
don't
gonna
mind.
wait till next Tuesday.
I don't mind. It could be totally up to your schedule and stuff, and see how we feel tomorrow. If we've got new things that are churning at the top of the brain, I could probably make some time. It's what, Wednesday, Thursday. Ooh, Thursday night might be tough. Um,
Yeah, Friday I'm out for dinner as well, so
okay,
we might have to
maybe
wait till Tuesday.
okay, maybe even yeah. We'll keep our eyes on the news and see what the vibe is, and if we have to do a quick 15-minute drop on something, you need a vent or a hot take on something. We can always do that too. Uh,
Yeah, like I said, somebody's gonna clip that when they see that and be like, "This dude's crazy."
hey,
But
maybe it needed to be said.
the investment I had in Dame, from an emotional standpoint as a player,
As yeah, and
is
somebody that
what
respects
triggered it.
loyalty, right?
That's what triggered it. Is I had so much invested in Dame.
Mm.
But hey, speaking of which, next Tuesday is October the 3rd,
Ooh, we're getting close, getting real
right?
close.
So I have a question.
Mm.
Do we want to do like Western Conference preview, Eastern Conference preview, or do we just want to do a straight season preview?
Mm. Maybe straight season so we can jump around as it sort of as it goes.
Unfolds.
But
Yeah,
yeah.
that way we can use the next two episodes, and we'll do the season preview on the 17th, the week before.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, now other question: are we still planning to do the Phoenix game at 7:30 that night, and then do a live at the buzzer after? Is that still the plan,
That would be the
or have
October
plans
4th.
changed?
No, I think that's still the plan. Phoenix versus
I'll
who's
pull it
that
up on my
again?
phone right now.
Dallas?
I think it's Phoenix versus some Phoenix, because I know the Lakers are the 4:30 game. I thought we were calling the Laker game, but it's not the
hmm,
Laker game. That's at 4:30, October 24th. The game is it's Phoenix and Golden State will be calling.
done. Done. Yeah.
And
And if
then
you're
we'll
offering
and
me,
then we'll have an at the buzzer on the 24th, because we usually film on Tuesdays, but we'll do an at the buzzer Tuesday live.
yeah, that works.
Also, one other thing. Your TV might be ahead of mine. So do you want to be the play-by-play guy and I be the color guy, or do you want me to be the play-by-play guy and you be the color guy?
Let's do some trials in the preseason. Go back and forth, see how it goes, see which internet's working good, how the rhythms work out, and see what you want to do out of those two.
Oh, you want to do some preseason broadcasts as well?
Maybe just some tests. We don't necessarily need to broadcast them, but we could get our feet dirty with that.
Let's try it, man. But
Mm-hmm.
anyway,
Learn some names
and
on
more money.
that.
This has been the At the Buzzer podcast. He's G, the guy who never brings the golf energy.
Mm-mm.
He's my co-host. We'll be back for episode 4 of At the Buzzer on. Well, it'll drop on Wednesday, but we'll probably film it Tuesday night.
Mm.
But we love the NBA. We hope you do too. And if you see this, like and subscribe.
Mm.
Until next time, may your ego come from a place that keeps you humble. I'm Mo Money. Mamba out. G, any last words?
Take care of yourselves and each other, and look forward to seeing you next week.
All right, have a good one, everybody.